Hey guys, it's Alex from 7th Hour Films, back again with the Sarah Jane Adventures. Last time on the Sarah Jane Adventures, we had Prisoner of the Judoon, where basically a Judoon officer crashed on Earth, and we had to help the Judoon basically capture his escaped prisoner, Androvax the Veil. And yeah, there was a lot of cool stuff. The Veil actually possessed Sarah Jane, which was interesting. Elizabeth Sladen got to be really sinister looking in that. And yeah, all around, very interesting. Very funny too, with playing up the comedy of the Judoon. So yeah, we'll just be moving right along with Series 3. This is where I say no spoilers in the comments whatsoever. Let's stick to this episode and previous episodes of the Sarah Jane Adventures, Torchwood, Doctor Who, and Doctor Who Classic that I've reacted to. And with that being said, let's just go ahead and get right into this episode of the Sarah Jane Adventures. Here we go. London, 2059. The heck are we doing in 2059? In Sarah Jane's attic.
What's your name?
Don't.
My name is Rani.
Oh no.
Rani Chandra.
Ronnie, what happened to you?
Everyone knew about them, of course. They'd seen the Daleks and the Cybermen. They didn't know everything.
Huh. Yeah. Ugh.
Because I made a mistake.
How bad could it be?
Marie's been helping the government hide aliens.
What?
Haven't you heard? She's the new Sarah Jane.
Last week she met Race Valens who look exactly like the Thimbles.
You wouldn't know. It really would. That's cool.
It really wasn't cool.
It really wasn't cool.
Maria was this girl they knew before me who'd moved to America. And so that morning it just felt like I wasn't one of the gang.
What, only now? It's been like a year.
I was annoyed with Sarah Jane.
And what the hell is Maria doing?
You're my best mate.
I was busy, okay? Anyway, you had London and Sarah Jane Smith and the aliens.
Nope. He lost his girl and he was sad.
You haven't told anyone, have you?
You told me you deal with that kind of stuff, so deal with it.
She doesn't have sonic lipstick to get in there. She's gonna have to climb.
Who needs a sonic lipstick?
Oh. Alright, if you think you can do this.
Yeah, right, it's just you here.
This is not gonna go over well. Ah.
Playtime is beginning.
Ugh.
Samwise, Damon, missing people. So many stairs.
Damon. Isn't that where Ronnie used to live?
I thought I could trust her. Ronnie's been telling this boy about everything we do.
Yeah, that is a little awkward.
Mr. Smith, I need you.
It's probably a fun acting job. You just gotta sit there and smile weirdly. Get to be on a ride all day.
What's going on here? Hello? You alright?
Ugh.
Are you my new friend?
No.
A demon.
I knew I should have brought Luke. He moans less than you.
Faster though.
Hey, I was holding back so you could keep up.
Yeah. Yeah, right, yeah. Well, you are getting old, you know, your memory's going. Oh.
Slap him.
Oh, you're not going to take an old lady's hand? I might afford if you don't.
It's alright, I've got my mobile phone so I can call the ambulance if your hip goes.
Damn. Just a verbal slap fest.
There were these two races and they had a war. My people weren't involved, but because we could read the timelines, they attacked us.
The Time War?
We were exterminated.
Oh no!
My parents put me in a ship and now they're having fun.
I mean, they look like they're stoners having fun.
I can see your past. Sometimes you feel left out.
Huh.
It was lightning. Mr. Smith checked it out this morning.
Marie's been helping aliens hide from the government. She's the new Sarah Jane.
Weird angles.
Like that.
See your future.
I can see it.
My name is Rani.
Oh shit.
Rani Chandra.
Oh God. Make it stop.
She can see that future.
I can't become that. I'm so lost. So alone. The mad old woman of Bannerman Road.
Alright. Oh, that's... I like that, actually. I like that the future we have in here... I like that the future we have in this episode is not the actual future. That's clever, actually. I actually like that, so... Whew. Okay, let's go on to part 2.
My name is Rani.
Please.
Yeah.
No. I can't
That's the interesting part. Is that this framing device of the future is technically a little ploy by the demon, whose name I don't have yet.
She showed Sarah Jane her whole life.
Right?
I'm Sarah Jane Smith.
I'm a journalist. Sarah Jane Smith.
Whoa! Whoa!
Forget me.
Oh, the Daleks.
And then her future too.
He is returning.
The Doctor?
He is coming back.
Whoa! Cool, the Doctor's coming! That was so cool seeing her in Classic Who, too.
Don't you think that was a bit weird?
You're the weird one. You're not even human.
I am.
I saw you.
He's
You were made,
specifically
like
human.
Frankenstein.
Actually, I'm more like the creature. Frankenstein was the name of the man who made the creature.
Yeah, he knows his Frankenstein.
Ronnie said.
They were about to get some kung fu going.
Been a bit stupid now.
Where have you been? We've been trying to call you. You could have been lying in a ditch. Yes.
Dial it down a little, Clyde. Uh-oh.
They're getting faster.
Uh-oh. Whoa! Oh.
Listen to me.
Jeez.
You can't tell me what to do.
She must stop. Playtime is over.
So there's Eve, and then there's the person in the mirror. This is getting out of hand, and now there are two of them.
People like this.
Uh-oh. Now she's evil.
What have you done to her?
I will draw the energy from you.
Okay. If you say so. Alright.
What happened?
You're free. And all the stoners are free too.
Where is everyone?
I come to the beach to find Eve's ship.
Black. I think you call it a black hole.
A black hole.
My
Huh?
engines use them for fuel.
A black hole.
Okay.
Easy.
Is it?
Mr. It's K9.
Your robot dog.
That's the one that put me through, Mr. Smith.
Boosting telephone signal. Connecting now.
He doesn't like K9, that's funny. So we're gonna get K9 back. Because they're gonna give ship a black hole.
Greetings, Mr. Smith.
It's good to see you, K9. Will you be staying here now?
Affirmative.
Oh, good.
Black hole energy absorbed.
He does not like K9, that's funny.
I've had my life.
It's never too late.
Yeah.
Really?
Just go. The very... This is kind of a drawn-out happy ending. I'm getting nervous that something's gonna go wrong, but maybe not.
I wish they'd just leave me alone. Leave me alone.
Well, no!
I will grant you your wish.
No! No, don't! God damn it, Ship.
I have granted your wish.
Well, ungrant it. Man.
Playtime is over. Spaceship left Earth. I was all alone.
No!
Sarah Jane, Clyde, and Luke gone.
But the doctor.
Because of me.
The doctor's on his way, though.
Ronnie,
They all had futures.
I'm not from across the road.
Eve.
She's my mum.
Oh.
But you look human.
Sam. Aww.
I wish Ship hadn't taken them from me.
Your wish is my command.
Okay. Okay. Yay.
It was quite big down there. Shouldn't we move back?
Yeah, run.
We'll face the future together.
He is coming back.
Yes. Tenet.
Come on, I'm in, you get.
Was that his blue suit, though?
You can't see cheese. Cheese? Fermented curds.
I'm not as young as I used to be. Come on, go and pay on.
Yay. Okay. That was nice. Okay. That was a good episode. Really enjoyed that one. Okay. Okay, I like the framing device of this episode, that it was that basically the framing device was 2059, when Ronnie, I guess, was an old woman by then. I suppose. Actually, that's the thing. It's like 2059. So let's see, if she was 14, then adding 50 years would only make her 64. So I guess, if you're 64, you can have grandkids that young. Yeah, I don't think about it as much, because it's like, yes, that is possible. But I was like, wow, she has grandkids. I thought she would just have a kid. I mean, heck, if you think about it, I suppose Sarah Jane is probably around that age. Maybe less, probably. I'd maybe put her in her, mid to late 50s, but still, and she has a 14-year-old son, technically, but yeah, I don't know. It's kind of weird, and maybe that's just because of how old my dad is. Actually, yeah, because we established that Sarah Jane was born in 1951, so this was 2009. 2009. She'd be almost 60 years old at this point. Yeah, late 50s then. Okay, I was right. Nice. So, yeah, that's just interesting. It's like, if Ronnie was, 64 in the future, it's like, and she has a fully grown kid and grandkids, like, all right, I guess that's possible. Again, I don't think about it that much, because obviously of Sarah Jane only having Luke in this show, and the fact that my dad is the same age and he has me. So yeah, Dad doesn't have any grandkids yet, and probably won't for a while. Yeah. Anyway, so yeah, I like this whole framing device of showing the future, but in actuality, it's just a possible future that we're kind of looking at. It's like, this is basically just the future where Ronnie screwed up. And it's the possible future that Eve shows her, which, again, that's a very interesting way of doing that. And then at the end, you know, having them fix it and, you know, changing it back. You know, so this was just a possible timeline. You know, one where the ship does fulfill the wish. Oi, excuse me. The next thing I wrote down was Maria. It's interesting that only now does Ronnie feel a little jealous of Maria, which is interesting because, you know, we've had her on for now a full season because she was introduced in episode 2 of series 2. Now this is, you know, episode 2 of series 3, so she's been on for a full season at this point, but only now did she ever feel sort of jealous of Maria, because I thought that would sort of happen, you know, like they would keep talking about Maria and maybe she would be left out in almost sort of the same way on Doctor Who, when the Doctor was so hung up on Rose when she left, and that kept getting brought up, especially during the beginning of Martha's run as his companion. So, but yeah, that didn't happen here, you know? Which, maybe it's also, you could also compare it to when Donna met up with Martha after Martha had left and Donna had become the new companion, and, you know, when they all meet up, you know, the Doctor's like, all right, now no fighting, because, and I bet you that was mostly because, like, the last time his two companions like met up, they were kind of bickering at each other, and that was Rose and Sarah Jane, which was funny. So, but then they got along, you know, perfectly. It was so interesting. So that kind of happened here almost, like, you know, Ronnie was never really jealous of Maria, and, you know, even when they were, you know, talking over early 2000s Skype, whatever that was, that video call, you know, nothing, just no jealousy until right now. And also, the heck is Maria doing now? Like, they just built in this sort of this story. It's like, oh, Maria's working with the United States government to take on aliens. It's like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you, I don't know. So that's crazy that they just kind of threw that in. It's like, oh yeah, Maria, she's like the new Sarah Jane, basically. And, you know, that also stung Ronnie a little bit, because it's like, well, she was trying to kind of be the new Sarah Jane, especially because she was a journalist and stuff like that, you know. So, but it all made sense. Like, all of this did make sense. It is just interesting that it took this long for her to actually be jealous of Maria. So, yeah. I wrote down the park. That was interesting. The whole, you know, have fun, and, you know, we got all those stoners that were happy. I keep calling them stoners. They were probably just fine. I don't know. They look like, I don't know. They look like they would be stoners. Well, okay, especially, it's like, that's the thing. It's like they look like normal people, but when they had the red eyes and they were just, you know, sitting there just smiling and not moving, it's like, they look like stoners. So that was kind of funny. I wrote down the demon / Eve. That was interesting. Interesting character. I like that she wasn't evil. It was just sort of, she was confused, I guess. And she was lonely. She was definitely lonely. You know, she had Harry, but she wanted more friends. So that was interesting. Sam was also an interesting addition. Because you can kind of tell, it's like, Sam is basically what Ronnie would be towards Maria to an extent. It's like, you know, he hears about all these great adventures that Ronnie goes on, and he feels left out. And that's in the same episode where, you know, they're talking about Maria, and she felt left out. So that was an interesting sort of parallel there. And, yeah, so that was cool. I wrote down the Time War. That was interesting. That sort of came out of nowhere almost. Like, you know, like, now I'm assuming she was referring to the Time War because, she can see, different timelines and stuff like that. And, it's like, these two species were at war, but, we weren't involved, but we got caught in the middle, basically. So that's interesting. This is the first time that really the Time War has been brought up on the Sarah Jane Adventures, and it's been a long time since the Time War in general was brought up. Like, we had the first real mention of the Time War, I believe, was in Darby's barking, sorry about that. Was in The Unquiet Dead, and maybe they referenced it a little bit before that, but the solid reference I remember is in The Unquiet Dead, because that was the same thing with the Gelth. Like, they were victims of the Time War. They got hit in the crossfire, basically, like a lot of species. So I like that that's the tie-in here, is that Eve was also, her entire planet was caught in the crossfire of the Time War. So that's interesting. Seeing the timelines, that was pretty cool. We didn't see a whole lot, but I will say, like, okay, we saw Luke's past, and that was fine, and then we saw his future, and it's like, he's graduating, and it's like, cool, that's great, seems to have a nice future ahead of him. And then we saw Sarah Jane's past, and it's like, that, first off, it's like, I like how much of her past we saw. Like, I almost want to watch that again. Ooh, maybe I can't. Was that in this episode? Was that in part 2, or was that part 1? I don't remember. It must have been part 1. No. Here it is. Alright, I'm going to watch this clip again because it was so cool. Yeah. So it shows her as a kid. Whatever happened. Yeah, look at that. Oh, John Pertwee, Tom Baker, and then the Daleks. Yeah. So that was cool. That was cool to see all that and stuff, and then
don't forget me.
Yeah, it's cool to see her from when she was on Doctor Who. I really enjoyed that, because it is one of those things where it's like, I do wish I had seen more of Sarah Jane in classic Doctor Who, because all I've seen of her is from Genesis of the Daleks, because we reacted to that. But other than that, I haven't seen any of her time in classic Who. And, we saw a little bit of Tom Baker there, but we also saw John Pertwee, which was cool. And her apparently shooting lightning at John Pertwee. It's like, whoa, what was that story about? So, yeah. It's like, I wish I could kind of see that. And then we had Sarah Jane's future, which is the return of the Doctor, which is really, really cool. Like, oh my gosh, the Doctor is coming. That is just awesome. It's like, finally, we get a bit of a crossover where he's coming to them, basically. Because on Torchwood, with Torchwood, we've had, and Sarah Jane for that matter, we've had them be on Doctor Who, but the Doctor has never been on the other shows. He never was on Torchwood or the Sarah Jane Adventures. So yeah, that is awesome that the Doctor is coming. That's so cool. And it's Tenet, which is good. So, which is probably why, if that's happening this season, that's probably why I am going through these 2 a week, so that I can catch up in time before what I keep assuming is the eventual Tenet regeneration. So yeah. I wrote down the black hole. Interesting that they brought that in with the black hole being able to power the ship. Like, because they could have gone with anything, but they chose a black hole, which was cool. And then the fact that, it's like, well, how do we give them a black hole? And it's like, well, wait, K9 has been patching up a black hole this entire friggin' show. So it's like, well, why don't we have K9 do it? And it's like, that's clever. I like that. And now, because we've given them the energy of the black hole and the black hole's no longer there, K9 has no reason to be there anymore. So now K9's part of the show again, much to the dismay of Mr. Smith, which is really funny that Mr. Smith does not like K9. So I bet he probably views him as some sort of inferior technology, which is funny. I do like that. But yeah, that's just interesting. And then the wish, I wrote that down. Interesting that the ship would do that. That the ship would be like, well, I'm going to grant your wish. And it's like, what wish? And it's like, I wish they would just leave me alone. And so she just erases them from existence, basically. It's like, whoa. That is not, like, people can change their mind ship. It's like, that was sad, man. And that was it was a little odd, but it was definitely interesting. And then it was good that, you know, the kid basically, you know, let her have a new wish in the future. Wish that didn't happen. So that was cool. And that was a good twist with the kid being Sam and Eve's son. So yeah. And then the last thing I wrote down, which we kind of already talked about, is the Doctor is coming. That's really cool. That's great, like, foreshadow. That's great, like, hype building, basically. You know, it's like, hey, everyone that's watching the Sarah Jane Adventures, guess what? The Doctor is coming. And it's like, yes! That's awesome! I want the Doctor to be here. Even though, technically, you know, the show doesn't need the Doctor, but it's like, but that would be so cool to have the Doctor here. So, yeah. So, that's pretty much all I wrote down. Really enjoyed this episode. Thought it was really great. And, yeah, that's pretty much it. With all that being said, I'm Alex from 7th Hour Films, and I will see you guys next time. Take care. Alright guys, thanks for watching this video. If you want to watch more of my Sarah Jane Adventures reactions, you can click on the playlist, you can subscribe if you haven't done that already, and be sure you hit that notification bell. You can support me on Patreon and follow me on social media, links below in the description. See you guys later.